They created a world so unbelievably unique.
Who would want to play that game? I mean, it takes itself way too seriously.
With characters that are untraditional.
They look like monsters, but they're not monsters.
He's not a brainiac, he's not a jack of all trades, he's not a master anything. He's a goofbag.
And ideas that are unconventional.
It speaks about hope. It speaks about changing for the better. It speaks about not being beaten down by the big guy.
I was not responsible for his flatulence. Is that a nice way to say it?
That's nasty.
Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey was just the beginning for Oddworld. Their innovative ideas helped change the face of video games forever. This is their story of vision, chances, and an adorable little character named Abe. Years before Oddworld was created, the future co-founders were growing up in two very different worlds of their own.
I was really lucky. I came from parents that had money, and I had the perfect childhood, and I went to USC, and it was a dream childhood.
My first memory is sitting in the back of a police car and watching the lights bounce off the houses. My mother married an ex-Marine Teamster. You know, nothing against Teamsters, but I lived with them, so I have the right to say that.
But what Lorne did have was a gift, and this gift meant everything.
Art probably saved my life, because when I was in high school, I had just become a really bitter, negative, hostile person.
Fate would then slowly begin merging these two lives together. While Sherry was working as an executive in computer animation, Lorne was earning his reputation as an accomplished art director. Then in 1991, while working at a special effects company, the businesswoman finally meets the artist.
It was very clear that we were both really passionate about what we did. We both really wanted, to create high standards.
I thought that for the first time in Hollywood, I was meeting someone that was really direct. Sherry would cut right to the chase. So she would just go, no, that sucks, that's good, that's awful.
Beyond their similarities lies something that fascinates Sherry.
I wouldn't even know how to describe it, except to say that he truly, truly is an artist. That's really who Lorne is. He's an artist.
They officially partner up, spending the next few years creating computer animation rides. But along the way, Lorne picks up a new passion and shares his true vision with Sherry.
And he said, what we really need to do is we need to build video games. And I thought he was kidding. And I went, why would I want to build a video game?
And she just wasn't making the connection. And I was going, it's an economic connection that we need to make the leap to, Sherry. See, here's the deal. This is the new medium. We could be the Cecil B. DeMille's of what's coming down the road. This is music videos in 1980.
Thanks to Lorne's persistence, a healthy, brand new video game company is born, and its name is Oddworld. Sherry and Lorne pack up their lives, leave the comforts of Hollywood, and set up shop in sleepy San Luis Obispo. Let the games begin.
All video games either had to be some sort of an established puzzle, established fighting game, established this and that. And there was a way to combine all these.
Hello, follow me. Okay.
And still put out this intoxicating game, this little world that would draw you in.
Scott isn't the only top talent intrigued by this unknown world.
I realized the moment I walked in the door, I'll do whatever it takes so that I can become a part of this whole organization.
So we have two leaders that didn't just say, hey, let's form a company because it sounds good. They had the background and the knowledge to say, here's what the images are going to look like, this is what the world's going to look like.
And these images aren't typical. There are no superheroes or virtual babes.
That's just wrong.
Instead, there's the bizarre, the peculiar, and the odd. And the title for this odd game is going to be Soulstorm.
It's not your cliche science fiction type stuff. They look like monsters, but they're not monsters.
All of Oddworld's inhabitants possess unique physical needs and emotional quirks. But allow me to introduce you to some of the stars. These are the evil industrialists, known as the Gluckins. And every Oddworld needs good native inhabitants. Meet the Mudokons, a group maliciously trapped into slavery by the industrialists.
What we always wanted was to create a character that people could really identify with. Not the character that we'd like to be, you know, the Superman.
And that's exactly what they created. And his name?
My name's Abe.
Yes, Abe. The lovable, goofy character with stitches mysteriously sewn on his mouth. Abe's responsible for leading us through the game while simultaneously trying to save his own kind. Tough gig.
He's not a brainiac, he's not a jack of all trades, he's not a master anything. He's a goofbag. But he's indicative of a much greater world that's out there.
So now that we know what he looks like, what does he sound like? Who better to ask than the man behind the voice, creator Lorne Lanning.
His voice had to be sort of the chump, you know, the guy you'd go, piss off, man, you know. So he'd be like, well, why would we do that, you know?
Now that we have our lead, let's get to the story. Abe's mission is to save his fellow Mudokons from becoming brunch to the industrialists. But first, he must save himself.
Get me out of here!
Along the way, Abe's journey is filled with relentless struggles and battles.
People are attracted to Abe. He doesn't have this killing blow. He doesn't have this garish suit. He doesn't have an ability to travel through time, and he doesn't know it all.
No, but what he does know is that he's stacked with a great marketing team. They're responsible for changing the game's title from Soulstorm to Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. Oddworld's vision explodes onto the screen in the form of visually stunning CGI movies.
I look at what our people create, and I just can't believe it. I mean, I'm just as stunned as I could be.
You look at the train in Abe's Exodus, that thing looks like it works. When they design something here, it looks like it works.
You know, the first time we saw the movie hit the screen and match the game screen exactly. And you go, yes, you've never seen that before.
Although Oddworld Abe's Odyssey is essentially an action game, it's built upon many beliefs that inspire Sherry and Lorne, with subtle and delicate messages like environmentalism, mysticism, and anti-commercialism.
Nobody wants to be preached to. You get up on a platform and tell people how the world should be, and they'll walk away.
My name is Elf. Hi, Elf.
But if you can grab their attention with irony and humor,
Can I share now?
then you've grabbed them.
Now it's time to preview the game, and industry insiders are totally blown away. But Sherry and Lorne's concerns lie with gaming fans. How will they react to this very odd game?
Who would want to play that game? I mean, it takes itself way too seriously. It's far too caught up in current events and the state of the problems with humanity. It's not what the culture that plays games is.
We're going to live and die by our word. If the game fails, we will have no fingers to point to anybody but us.
The concerns come to an abrupt halt when Oddworld Abe's Odyssey becomes a smash hit following its September 1997 release for PlayStation and PC. Our lovable little guy has been launched into stardom.
Abe's the guy that, in our hearts, we identify with. He's the guy who we think we are. And because of that, that's why we care so much for him.
Hello. Hello.
Abe's human traits help us identify with him more easily. Like the fact that he, you know, breaks wind.
I was in a meeting. The most humble guy in the meeting, he made a joke. And we were talking about, like, what if Abe farts?
Not at all. I was not responsible for his flatulence. Is that a nice way to say it? No, but when I saw it, I realized, okay, this makes him human, and it's funny, and it's a cheap trick, but it's a cheap trick that works.
Okay, so now we understand the history behind the gas. What's the mystery behind the stitches? For the first time ever, Lorne reveals the answer.
When he was born, he was more of a crybaby. And so it was something that was done to him to help this situation. But it was before he was really awake enough, conscious enough as a person to really understand why he had these. But it's something that he feels is a part of him, so he doesn't want to snip loose.
Abe and his fellow inhabitants have beaten the odds and climbed to the top of the video game charts. When we come back, the mystery of the moon, the hamburger no-no, and... Sherry McKenna and Lorne Lanning dominated the video game industry with Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. The 1997 release won more than 40 major industry awards and sold more than 2 million units worldwide. Well, there's not much time to celebrate. Oddworld's publisher asks for the impossible. Compress the usual 2-year-plus production cycle and deliver a follow-up game in time for Christmas '98. Can Oddworld handle the pressure?
It was hell, let me say. It was not fun. We did it in 9 months. We got it done on time because that's what you're supposed to do. Deliver on time.
We just had to prevail, and it was murder.
With games to be made and deadlines to meet, the relentless businesswoman is adamant about providing a healthy work environment.
I am absolutely a monster about the health thing. So if I see people coming in with junk food, with a cheeseburger, I will absolutely take it and throw it away.
Sherry said healthy people are basically good, alive workers, and so she fronts the money for vitamins every week and has fruit baskets.
And then, you'll pull a desk drawer and there'll be the donuts. But don't tell her I said that, if she finds out.
With little time to play, work progresses on the second Oddworld game, where some familiar inspirations are sneaking their way in.
Basically, our games are about consumerism versus mysticism.
Nicotines, sweeteners.
We have to look at us as consumers and be responsible for that which we consume.